What is up, my brothers and sisters? Um, Check this out. Kind of off subject, but I ran into this article right here. Space rockets keep tearing blood red atmospheric holes in the sky, and scientists are concerned. What a crock. I mean, really? That's what they're going with? And I saw something on the news. The news is even trying to cover up for the red skies and the red glowing skies, and that something about uh farms using I guess like bright lights. Why they would use these lights, I have no idea. Um, I guess to kind of create sunshine, like an artificial sunshine. They never did that before. Why now? I don't know. Just seems like a crock to me. I know why the sky's red, so I'm not gonna fall for it that easy. But check this out. A lot of people are talking about this sickness, and well, it just so happens Montanians, that one state that I'm always showing with the explosions, and uh, Washington. So a lot of respiratory illnesses are going around. Um, I can probably pinpoint exactly what it could be. Um, it's going to affect everybody if it isn't already. You just didn't know it, or maybe symptoms are starting to catch up. So, okay, how can I explain this? Earth is a globe. That's right, a globe. It's not flat, it's a globe. So imagine all the pollutions, including cars, rockets, Elon Musk's rockets, and volcanoes. Well, there's a lot of volcanoes going off at the moment. Okay? Earth being a globe, right? You have to imagine it like, those little Christmas ornament balls where you shake it, shake it, shake it, right? And it's like a house with a family out front, right? And then it looks like it's snowing in the water. Well, eventually, the snow settles to the ground. So you can imagine these particulates in these little tiny um, particles in the air. Now, I've said this before because I've been saying this for I don't know how long. I've been saying it for a long time now. The fires have been burning for a long time. Volcanoes are going off. It's not humans, it's a natural process. Okay? Nobody's doing this. Okay? What's happening is all that smoke, all that SO2, sulfuric dioxide, and all those particles are up in the air. It's soot. If you've ever known anybody who's had like their house catch on fire, it could be the garage, okay? The rest of the house can be untouched by the fire. The problem is the smoke damage that's going to occur in the rest of the house. It's going to put soot all over everything. It's going to be on your bed, your pillows, the kitchen, the walls, the floor. There's soot everywhere. It came from the garage and they were able to put the fire out, right? But the smoke traveled through the house and ruined everything. It smells like smoke. Yeah, it smells like a burnt pile of wood or something, right? So these particles are so tiny. I've been saying the haze that you're standing in, you don't even realize you're standing in unless you look off in the distance or you look up at the sky and you can see the haze everywhere, right? You don't really realize this and you really don't think anything of it. Now imagine Earth as a globe, shake it up, all that smoke. What happens to the smoke eventually? That's right, it settles back down to the ground. This can be in the form of a mist, a fog, acid rain. Um, with that being said, Montanians, prepare for that respiratory illness. Okay? I'll give you an example here too in a second. Inhalation. Inhalation is a major route exposure of sulfur dioxide. The odor threshold is 5 times lower than the blah, blah, blah. Most exposures are due to air pollution, and this has both short-term and chronic health consequences for people with lung disease. Inhaled sulfur dioxide readily reacts with the moisture of mucous membranes. You can probably imagine this might feel or seem like pneumonia. Does that make sense? Which is a severe irritant. People with asthma can experience increased airway resistance with sulfur dioxide concentrations when exercising. Healthy adults experience increased airway resistance. Sneezing, coughing, bronchospasm, respiratory protection is required for exposures at or above, but higher or longer exposures can cause death from airway obstruction. Sulfur dioxide is heavier than air. Thus, exposure in poorly ventilated, enclosed, or lying areas can result in asphyxiation. Children exposed to the same levels of sulfur dioxide as humans may receive a larger dose because they have a greater lung surface area. Body weight rate, right? They're tiny. Their lungs are smaller. This would probably explain why you're not quite feeling it, but your children are, right? They may be exposed to higher levels in adults in the same location because of their short stature and higher levels of sulfur dioxide found nearer the ground, right? So this can cause eye irritation, skin irritation, right? So you can imagine that this may feel like you have pneumonia, right? Does that make sense? Sulfur dioxide is severely irritating to the eyes, mucous membranes, skin, and respiratory tract, bronchospasm, pulmonary edema. So basically what happens is these particulates and these little particles settle in your lungs, okay? That's why you're going to constantly feel like you can't breathe or a lot of mucus is going to be coming up. This may seem like pneumonia, okay? Inhalation exposure to very low concentrations of sulfur dioxide can aggravate the chronic pulmonary. Yeah, because when it settles in your lungs, it can go to your heart because it's going to go in your blood. So, right? So, sulfur dioxide dissolves in the moisture on skin, eyes, and mucous membranes to form sulfuric acid, an irritant inhibitor, mucocelular transport. Most of the inhaled sulfur dioxide is detoxified by the liver of sulfates and excreted in the urine. The bisulfite ion produced when sulfur dioxide reacts with water is likely to be the main initiator of sulfur dioxide induced bronchoconstriction. Children do not always respond to chemicals in the same way adults do. Different protocols may be managed in their care needed. Symptoms: sneezing, sore throat, wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightness, and feeling of suffocation. Reflex laryngeal spasm and edema can cause acute airway obstruction. Bronchospasm, pneumonitis, and pulmonary edema can occur. Okay? Now, let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say here. Okay? This is like air freshener. Okay? Now, you may not be able to see it with your eyes, but you can smell it, right? Well, it's kind of the same process. You see how it's just like floating in the air now? Well, this is exactly how these little particulates can react in the same way, right? All the dust, right? It's just like floating in the air, right? You can't even see it. That's why I said you got to look off in the distance or the sky to see the haze. You're standing right in it and you didn't even realize it. Okay? Just saying.